Betty Jack Davis was a rising star in country music, known for her angelic voice and harmonies that captivated audiences alongside her singing partner Skeeter Davis. Together, they were on the verge of fame as the Davis sisters. But just as their careers began to soar, tragedy struck. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Betty Jack's life was cut short in a devastating car accident, leaving behind the promise of what could have been. In this episode of Celebrity Afterlife, we remember the short life of country music star Betty Jack Davis and help to keep her memory alive. Betty Jack Davis and friend Skeeter Davis, born Mary Frances Pennock, first crossed paths at Dixie Heights High School in Edgewood, Kentucky. Both young girls shared a passion for music, especially the emerging sound of country, which was gaining popularity at the time. They met in the small town of Dry Ridge, Kentucky, and quickly bonded over their love for singing and performing. Despite not being related, they decided to form a duo, calling themselves the Davis Sisters due to their shared last name. Betty Jack Davis was born on March 24, 1932, in Corbin, Kentucky, while Skeeter Davis was born a few months earlier, on December 30, 1931, in a rural area near Glencoe, Kentucky. Both girls grew up in humble country surroundings, where music was an integral part of family life. Betty Jack's deep connection to her Appalachian roots, combined with Skeeter's love of gospel and bluegrass, made their harmonies unique and rich. As teenagers, they began performing at local events, talent shows, and radio stations, owning their sound and quickly gaining attention for their close harmonies, blending traditional country with elements of gospel. They modeled themselves after successful country female duos like the Delmore Brothers and the Carter family, and their early years together were marked by hard work and a drive to make it big in the music industry. Their big break came when they won a local yodeling contest that landed them a spot on Cincinnati radio station, WLW, and after graduating from high school in 1949, the two relocated to Detroit, Michigan. Bandleader Casey Clark invited the girls to perform on WJR's Big Barn Frolic Radio Jamboree, and along with producers Norman O'Neill and David Abadaher, booked the duo to sing at other regional performances, boosting their notoriety even more. O'Neill, who operated a Detroit-based construction business, became their personal manager and set out to get them seen by the record companies in the area. In 1952, as the Davis sisters were gaining attention in the regional country music scene, they connected with Fortune Records, which gave them their first professional recording experience. Fortune Records was a small, independent label based in Detroit, known for producing a variety of genres including country, blues, and early rockabilly. While at Fortune, the duo recorded several tracks that showcased their close harmonies and distinct blend of traditional country and gospel influences. Their style was heavily influenced by Appalachian folk music, a reflection of their Kentucky roots. Though their recordings with Fortune Records did not achieve significant commercial success, it gave the Davis sisters crucial experience in the recording studio and helped them develop their sound. The label's reputation for being a breeding ground for raw, unpolished talent suited the Davis sisters' traditional style, and their time there allowed them to refine the harmony-rich country music that would later define their music. While at Fortune Records, the pair recorded Jealous Love, Fortune 170, a song written by Devorah Brown, co-owner of the Fortune label. Two other singles followed in 1953, Call Elijah, Sorrow and Pain, Fortune 174, and Heartbreak Ahead, Steel Wool, Fortune 175. Fortune Records also helped the Davis sisters build their confidence as performers, as they began to solidify their act and gain more opportunities to perform in larger venues and on radio shows. Despite Fortune's limited promotional reach, the exposure they received through the label helped pave the way for their later deal with RCA Records, which ultimately catapulted them to fame. One key figure who took notice of the girls' talent was Paul Cohen, a prominent artists and repertoire executive at RCA Records. And another was producer Steve Scholes, both of whom played a crucial role in signing major country acts of the era. Cohen and Scholes recognized the potential in their close harmonies and distinctive blend of traditional country, gospel, and Appalachian folk influences. At the time, female duos were gaining traction in the country music world, and Cohen saw an opportunity to fill a niche with the Davis sisters. In 1953, the girls were signed on to the RCA label, and this partnership became the turning point in their career. RCA's backing gave them the resources and exposure needed to reach a national audience, something that wasn't possible with their earlier independent label experience. During this time, Chet Atkins, a legendary guitarist, producer, and RCA executive, also played a critical role in shaping the sound of many country artists in the 1950s, including the Davis sisters. Atkins' influence in Nashville's burgeoning music scene helped guide the duo as they transitioned from local performers to recording artists under a major label. His experience and connections in the industry gave them access to top-tier recording facilities and professional production that elevated their work. As the Davis sisters, Betty Jack carried the melody and played rhythm guitar. Skeeter sang the high harmony parts. Although she was a gifted harmony singer, her voice was not that potent as a solo singer. To compensate, producer Chet Atkins double-tracked all of Skeeter's vocal recordings, punched up the tracks with echo, and had her sing harmony with her own voice, along with some plush Anita Kerr arrangements, to create that clear Skeeter Davis sound on record. Under RCA, the Davis sisters recorded their first single, I Forgot More Than You'll Ever Know, in 1953, a song that had previously been recorded by singer Sonny James. The song was an instant hit, rocketing to #1 on the country charts and staying there for 8 weeks. It also crossed over to the pop charts as a top 20 hit, according to Billboard historian Joel Whitburn, cementing the duo's status as one of the most promising new acts in country music. This success was especially remarkable for a young female country duo during an era when the industry was male-dominated. RCA's strong promotional efforts, combined with the natural talent of Betty Jack and Skeeter Davis, launched their career to new heights. They continued touring regionally to support the single on live broadcast radio programs and local events, with Davis later stating that they were so insecure and uninformed about the music business. They took any job they could find in an effort to push their music into the mainstream audiences. The Davis sisters were well on their way to becoming country music superstars, but on August 2, 1953, those dreams were shattered in a matter of seconds. As they were driving home from a performance at the WWVA Wheeling Jamboree, just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, their car was struck by an oncoming vehicle that had crossed over the center line, hitting them head-on. Betty Jack died instantly and Skeeter was severely injured. The driver was also severely injured and was charged with manslaughter after having fallen asleep at the wheel. Betty Jack Davis was only 21 years old. After the tragic car accident that took the life of Betty Jack, Skeeter was left seriously injured, both physically and emotionally. Skeeter suffered multiple injuries, including broken bones, and her recovery was slow and painful. In the aftermath of the crash, Skeeter went to stay with Betty Jack's mother, Ollie Davis, and her younger sister, Georgia, at their home in Corbin, Kentucky. This period was one of immense grief for Skeeter, as she not only had to heal from her physical injuries, but also had to process the loss of her best friend and musical partner. The bond between the two had always been close. Skeeter and Betty Jack were like sisters in every sense, and the trauma of losing Betty Jack weighed heavily on her. And the idea of continuing their dream without her felt unbearable. The Davis sisters had only just begun to taste success with their hit single, "I Forgot More Than You'll Ever Know," when the accident occurred, making the loss even more poignant. Skeeter often struggled with survivor's guilt and the emotional toll of losing Betty Jack so violently. This sense of loss was amplified when Skeeter began noticing that Ollie was not the loving mother-like person she had long thought her to be. Ollie would play the girls' records non-stop and gush that she could hardly wait for her chance to recreate the Davis sisters, using Betty Jack's sister, Georgia. In her autobiography, Skeeter recounted how Ollie had kept her sedated with drugs administered from a local dentist and would not allow her to leave the house or communicate with anyone. She went on to say that Ollie took advantage of this tragic situation to suit her own ends, effectively brainwashing Skeeter and coercing her into resuming the act, replacing Betty Jack with Georgia. Continuing under the RCA label, Skeeter and Georgia released a total of 9 singles from 1954 to 1956, and taking their place among country legends like Minnie Pearl, Harshaw Hawkins, and Chet Atkins toured the United States as part of the RCA Caravan of Stars. While Skeeter thought the material that the duo created was good, they never achieved the success that she and Betty Jack had.
Georgia was a fine singer, but it just wasn't the same.
She wrote in the liner notes to 1995's The Essential Skeeter Davis. The duo performed a tribute for Betty Jack at the Grand Ole Opry in 1954, which was very well received by fans. 1955 found them touring with Hank Snow, the Carter sisters, minus June, and crooner Elvis Presley. Skeeter and Elvis would go on to become close friends in the years that followed. In 1956, the duo officially disbanded shortly after Skeeter married Kenneth Depew, a railroad worker and friend of Georgia's, and Georgia also settled into family life with husband Lafrey Bobbitt. Skeeter would go on to form a successful solo career, most well known for her 1957 hit, "The End of the World," before passing away from breast cancer on September 19, 2004, at the age of 72. Georgia Davis died on February 16, 2022, at the age of 92. Betty Jack Davis is laid to rest at Highland Cemetery in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. Section 3. Lot 2. Grave 1. Thanks so much for tuning into today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe to catch every episode where we dive into the Celebrity Afterlife.